All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions, considering our Hulk Hogan adventures. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Man, let's get right into this, man.
All right, so like in the last episode, we actually didn't mention. I feel like it's worth mentioning. Hogan and Andre actually had a really good match. I believe it was the summer of '88. They had a steel cage match,
Yeah,
which I thought was really good. It's actually on the network under Hulk Hogan Real American. You can find it. You can actually find the match, and it was actually a pretty good match. I just wanted to mention that to everybody. It's worth looking into. If you're a Hogan fan, Hogan Andre, worth checking out.
just the fact that Andre's in the cage,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
should
yeah,
want to see it, right? I mean,
def-
him in the cage, definitely.
absolutely. Also, so we're going into 1989 right now, but to take you back a little bit, Hogan and Bossman started a feud. I think it was the end of, I think it was summer of '88, around there, or summer or fall '88, on the Brother Love show when the Big Boss Man came out and threw him a beating. It was bad, man. I think he actually might have hit him with some real shots too. Like they were kind of
Probably.
stiff. Yeah, I think Boss Man was known to work a little bit stiff, but that ultimately leads into the whole thing with the Twin Towers versus the Mega Powers. We come to 1989.
Yep. And at this point now, the Mega Powers are you saw now that the calendars turned to 89, and we're well, I'll use the phrase now. They never used it back then. On the road to WrestleMania.
Mhm.
You could see that there was a rift between the two. Randy Savage, for months, had this paranoia that Hogan was lusting after Elizabeth, which every time we saw them fight, I mean, Hogan cared more about her than he did Savage. And this is where Savage started, I guess you could say, resenting Hogan, but they were still teaming together. And they had their feud with the Mega Powers,
Mhm.
Mega Powers, with the Twin Towers through the end of 88 into 89.
Mhm.
And what's funny is there were two instances in the beginning of '89 that pretty much solidified that the breakup was coming and that these two were going to fight at WrestleMania. Number one was the Royal Rumble when Hogan accidentally eliminated Savage while trying to eliminate Bad News Brown. And Savage got back in the ring, got up in his face, and ultimately cooler heads prevailed. And then eventually Hogan was eliminated by the Twin Towers in that match because they came out, I believe it was back to back. But that was number one. Number two was on the second main event on February 3rd, 1989 in Milwaukee. The Hogan and Savage faced Bossman and Akeem,
Mhm.
and this is where Elizabeth had gotten hurt. And what does the Luster do? He takes her to the back for medical care rather than a referee coming out, leaves Savage into this match by himself. And when Hogan finally graces us with his presence at this point, and this is where I was sort of siding with Savage because I'm watching this live and I'm like, what is he doing? I mean, you just left him out there. And then when he gets back, Savage just gives him a nice little whack in the face. And the behind the scenes was classic with this. I mean, this was you couldn't have scripted this any better between Hogan and Savage. And I remember, you've seen it thousands of times, just like me.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Elizabeth talked some sense into him. You want to come at me man to man for the title? And I'm like, oh yeah, do it, do it, do it. I'm like, smack him,
You've
beat the
got
shit out of
lust.
him.
You've got lust in
Got
your
lust in your
eyes for
eyes,
Elizabeth.
Hogan. Yeah.
You know,
And
it actually, I had started before that because it's a quick little spot in some, I think it's SummerSlam, where Macho Man kind of looks at him really quickly. You got to really, really, really catch it. Then in
yeah, we
Survivor
talked about it
Series,
in the last episode.
in
Yeah.
Survivor Series, it becomes even more obvious
Oh yeah.
when Macho Man is like half dead and Hogan is in there posing, grabbing Elizabeth. Picks her. I think he picks her up, right? He picks her
Yeah,
up.
and he's looking at him, and even
Yeah, and
Hogan's not
Macho.
even paying any attention to him, and
No.
Savage is pointing at him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, go later on. I don't know if it was right after Survivor Series, but Elizabeth starts like co-managing. I know
Yeah.
at some point she co-manages. She's coming out with Hulk Hogan all the time, which I thought was kind of bizarre. Even though they're the Mega Powers, I thought it was bizarre that Elizabeth was coming out with Hulk Hogan, and she was kind of putting him in harm's way. And like Macho Man was kind of like, you're putting Elizabeth into danger.
Mhm.
That bump that she took. I've mentioned this before. That bump she took was pretty bad when
Oh yeah.
on the
On
main
the main
event.
event, yes.
It looked like she might have gotten a little hurt. And then Hogan backstage, man. It's kind of cringy to watch some of Hogan, like when he's praying, he's like, "Oh, please, Elizabeth, please." Like There's an extended version that's not on the network. You could probably find it on YouTube, where it's even worse. Hogan sounds like a weirdo,
Oh
but
yeah.
I said this before. We spoke about this. I think Hogan deserved a beating. If it was me, I would have whipped his ass too, man. For
Oh yeah.
putting Elizabeth in danger and then leaving him for dead.
Yeah,
Like
especially against those two.
like they could have easily gotten the paramedics to come out. Instead, Hogan has to carry her to the back and leaves
Well,
his
we
boss.
all we know Hogan's trademark with friends, man, and then
Yeah,
eventually he's going to fight them.
this is a pattern of
Hmm.
some sort of a fallout in a tag team match.
Oh yeah, and I mean, again, I was at this point I was for Savage, and now once this segment had ended, you could tell Savage went to the heel part because
Yeah.
I said this in the Savage episode. He had a feud with Bad News Brown for the WWE title. They did that because when they signed Bad News Brown, the thing was that they were going to possibly give him a title run. When they didn't see it in him, they just honored the contract by, okay, go feud with the champion and we're done with you.
Yeah,
And quick,
Hogan. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
and then quickly after that, you could tell Savage had gone heel because now, right before WrestleMania 5, he defended the title against the Ultimate Warrior.
Hmm.
So now we know that the transition had
Yeah.
happened again.
Yeah. I think Bad News was supposed to have a feud with Hogan, right? For the title too at some point.
Yeah, it was supposed to
Yeah.
be sometime in '89, but they never
Yeah.
did it because they really didn't see. I didn't even see it in them, to be honest. I mean, there was nothing. I mean, people didn't even boo this guy. I mean, they did nothing with him. It's just like, oh, okay, he's out there, whatever. So yeah, they eliminated the feud before it even started.
Hmm.
So we go now. This takes us to WrestleMania 5. Everybody, Trump Plaza again. Unfortunately, we know what's going to happen. Hogan's going to beat Savage, which is a shame because Savage had a great run as champion for a full year. So now Hogan's second title reign is upon us.
Yeah,
He's
but it was
champion once again.
a great match though. It was
It was.
the whole Mega Powers explode, and at the time I remember going back to the Saturday Night's main event. Or I'm sorry, going back to the main event for a second. I was actually really surprised that Macho Man. We were kids. Like I was surprised that they Macho Man betrayed him. I was like, no, Macho Man. But it was a really great story. I believe that at the time that had the record for pay-per-view buys. I think WrestleMania 5 was the biggest one, I think, to date.
Date at that point, yeah.
On that one. So it was a huge success. The match was great. The build-up was great. Just Macho Man never had a bad match, probably. Macho Man was always, in great matches. And I just loved the match. And it was a great story. But remember the whole thing with Elizabeth? Who's she gonna come out with? That whole thing?
Out in the neutral corner.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually they have to send her back because Savage is just irate and everything. And I mean, when Hogan hulked up and you see Savage just turning around like, oh shit, what am I? All right, the hell with it. I'm just gonna try to hit him. And it was like quickly three punches, a boot, a leg drop, and we're done. And I'm like, damn. I'm like, I really hope this guy gets the title back again.
Yeah, he was kind of, he was basically a placeholder because remember Hogan.
Unfortunately, but he did it really well.
Yeah, he was great. But Hogan was the cash cow, so they had to give Hogan the belt back. Macho Man only got the belt because he went to go film. Hogan had gone to film No Holds Barred the year prior after WrestleMania 4. So
then now with WrestleMania behind us, his title reign in '89 lasted a year, during which he defended the title in 2 matches against the Big Boss Man in the steel cage, which were pretty good matches. And on Saturday Night Main Event, where obviously he won because I've said this before, Hogan never lost on Saturday Night Main Event. He actually, though, in May, Hogan once lost to Savage in a title match, but by countout, kind of keeping it relevant. And I don't know about you, but to me, in SummerSlam '89, I was really hoping we got the rematch, not just a tag team match in the main event, but Hogan and Savage Part 2 at SummerSlam, where obviously Savage wasn't going to win the title back, but at least we get to see the match again on a pay-per-view.
Right.
But instead we get Beefcake and Zeus.
So basically Zeus was built up as just a heel. It's kind of crazy when you think about what they did with No Holds Barred. Mm-hmm. They actually made a heel out of a movie. And when he came in, the story was, I guess, he was jealous of Hogan, I guess.
Yeah.
During the filming or something like that. They had some beef. And I don't know. I think it was a main event. that, and I think it was Bossman versus Hogan, as a matter of
Yes,
fact.
it was
Steel
where he was
cage match
standing on the steel steps.
where he's standing on the steel steps, and then he just starts attacking Hogan.
Why does Hogan
Ah,
go for his legs? I mean, he runs at him and he's at his feet. I mean, he had the higher ground. It was already
yeah.
over. I mean, come on, dude, go get a steel chair.
I heard that Zeus was so bad they had to shoot that a couple different times. Like
Oh, I don't doubt it.
they spliced the footage together because that main event, I believe, or Saturday night's main event, whatever it was, wasn't live. So they took footage of him attacking him on one night and footage of him attacking on another night, and they spliced it together to make it look decent. But that started the feud, and then he teamed up with Macho Man, and I love those promos though. Remember with Sherry and the cauldron,
Cauldron, yeah.
Zeus. That was great
Oh my
stuff. I
God.
think they jumped him. Didn't they jump Hogan and Beefcake? He
Yes.
jumped him on something. Was it a main event or
It
something?
was no, it was that was later on in the year because remember they had
Oh,
the Christmas steel cage match,
I'm going. Yeah, yeah. I'm
and
sorry.
it was at
You're right.
Survivor Series.
Yeah.
And they came into the because now it's funny because now you see guys like Dino Bravo and Red Rooster and Hercules and all these guys trying to get them off of them.
The
Yeah,
heels and
throwing
baby
stuff in
faces
their
together.
eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
yeah.
good stuff.
That was the it was on they had released that tag team match on a Super Tape
Hmm.
Volume 2 or
Yeah.
something back then. But yeah, it was December 28th, the classic steel cage match
Hmm.
between the two of them again. Like we really needed another match.
Well, what it was the No Holds Barred, the movie and the match. Remember they made that pay-per-view where you rented the movie and you also got a
It should have been then one
a
on
steel
one then
cage
if you're gonna
match.
do the match and
Yeah.
movie. I
Yeah.
mean, Beefcake again. I mean, the match at SummerSlam was okay,
Yeah, it was all right.
but Zeus couldn't do shit. I'm
Brutus
sorry.
Beefcake in the main event. In the main event of SummerSlam. Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Good for him,
Give-
man.
yeah, well, he's got his friend that he didn't turn
Yeah.
on yet, so
Yeah.
he's got one. Well, no, wait, no, WCW turn him. Never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
He's always everybody's always turning on him. But yeah, that no holds barred steel cage match, Hogan and Beefcake again won that one. And I honestly, thank God. I mean, Zeus was only signed on to do this feud because I couldn't see this guy doing anything else going forward
Yeah,
because he couldn't do anything.
well, how about Survivor Series? Look at the Survivor Series match. Which was Hogan's team versus
And that was a pretty good team. I like that team.
it was a pretty good squad. That they had
But
together.
Zeus.
But then Zeus gets eliminated quick. Remember, like,
Well, yeah, he got disqualified because again, who on that team is going to pin him?
well, the
And you
thing is,
can't even hurt him.
well, the thing is, he couldn't wrestle, so they had to get him.
That was an understatement.
That was done intentionally just to protect him because he couldn't wrestle, so they got him DQ'd right away. I mean, he looked apart though. He looked very menacing, and he's a good actor, obviously.
They just should have put this guy in the ring a few
He
times
just
with
yeah,
practice.
just couldn't wrestle. So
In any event, like you said, at the Survivor Series, it was one of my personal Hogan teams that was a favorite. It was Hogan, Jake Roberts, Demolition versus DiBiase, Zeus, and the Powers of Pain. And Hogan's team gets the victory. Zeus is out right away, disqualification. And then from there, like we had just mentioned, Hogan and Beefcake are in the back. They get jumped by these guys. They announced that the December 28th, I believe the date was, would be the 27th. And it was a no holds barred pay-per-view that the four men would get in the ring in the steel cage, and Hogan and Beefcake won that to solidify the feud with them, and then let's send Zeus in, packing until we see him in WCW. God help us. But that ended the feud with Zeus, but it didn't end the feud with Savage because Savage was still feuding with Hogan going into the beginning of 1990, and even though we had that feud, there was something brewing in the beginning of 1990 that when we all saw if anybody watched the Royal Rumble, and if you got through Tony Schiavone's annoying broadcasting, you noticed that in that Rumble, two men were left in the ring at one point, and that was Hogan and Warrior.
And in the next episode, we're going to cover that. We're going to have a video just solely dedicated to the Ultimate Challenge. So,
man, I can't wait on that one.
Yeah. So you guys let us know what you think about Hogan in 1989 and the Mega Powers. And like, comment, share, subscribe. And we'll see you guys soon.
Take care, guys.